This is Limited Engagement. Was this the first time that you had created a film for a story that you didn't also create?
Yeah, it's the first time, which was a real challenge because I was so used to creating films that were specific to my family or specific to a event or and so when Lili and I talked about the story, in so many words, I described that I wanted to make this film as if it was just as, like it was my family, like it was my father or my brother. Mm-hmm. And to do that, I had to get out of the way of editorializing her experience or trying to make it abstract. And I really had to make it specific and attentive to her words. I didn't edit any of her words out. I took her story verbatim from the Risk podcast. Mm-hmm. And I just was completely deferential to her experience. And where I found ways to make it unique to my expression as an artist was like using miniatures or using music or, like I talked about being expressive, using the camera to be expressive. That's like your voice, right? As a form of performance. So I performed her story visually through the way that I see the world, which is very much in details and kind of ephemera, just fleeting moments. Yeah.
And how did that collaboration come about? Did you reach out to, I'm not going to remember the guy's name.
It's all right. Kevin Allison. So Kevin Allison is the producer and founder of the Risk podcast.
Who's also in the state.
He's also in the state. Yeah. Fantastic guy, great storyteller. And I was a big fan of his podcast because I would listen to it while I was illustrating in Los Angeles. And so I listened to it then when I lived there, and I just heard this story come on. And it was Lili, and I recognized her voice immediately. And I was writing at my desk, and as soon as her story started, like my pencil just hovered above the paper that I was working on. I was absolutely frozen and captivated by it, and I couldn't lower my pencil until the story was done. And pretty much immediately after the story was done, I set down my pencil, and it was late at night, and I started composing an email to Kevin. And I came to him with the idea that I wanted to make it into a short visualization of her story. And I sent him some samples of my work, much like he sent samples for getting into college. Here's some work samples. Here's my resume, and he was receptive to it, and he liked the idea. And so he put me in touch with Lili, and, we spoke about it. And her advice to me was, make it your own. Don't worry about just, I trust you, just make it your own. Because I said to her, I can tell this is an important story to you. I can tell that this means a lot to you. And I want to respect that story, and I want to make it the best that I can. Mm-hmm. And then I set about doing that. And so, she gave me her blessing, and then I started working on it. And it was, it was a long road, really. I mean, I started working on it in the spring of 2011 when I lived in Los Angeles, and I filmed it with the actors there. And shortly after, I moved back home to be closer with my family and try to figure out some things, in my life. And this film just kind of got stuck on a hard drive, and I didn't know how to reintroduce myself to it. And more years went by, and I began to really struggle with this depression that I still had that just hung around, and I didn't know how to manage it. And it was one of the reasons why I had to move back home. I had to really take some time off from the film. But it became its own planet. The film became its own planet, and I was stuck in its orbit. Its gravity wouldn't let me go, and I kept thinking about it. I'm like, I have to finish this film. Because that's the one thing that I always firmly believe as an artist, it's important to finish. You know, you can be in the middle of a terrible set on the mic, and you may see those faces sagging, but you got to finish your set.
Right.
You got to finish whatever it is. It's important.